If your disposition wholesale real estate process isn't dialed in, this is the exact system we use inside our 7-figure wholesale company to generate millions of dollars a year, and you can copy it today. In this video, I'll break down our A to Z dispo process so you can organize your deals, move faster with buyers, and close more consistently. Let's dive into it. So I'm going to walk you guys through the status from A to Z of the lifeline of the deal once we get it under contract. And so here's a Notion template that we built 100% free in Notion, and I'll share the link down below if you guys want to copy this and use this for your guys' business. One thing to note is that all of these properties are going to be most likely be blurred out because this is our actual deal board. Pre-dispo is the process of finding buyers for properties that you don't lock up yet. I highly recommend don't doing that because you could waste a lot of time, but we do have a section for it if we were to pursue it, and that depends how good of the deal it is and what's going on with the seller situation. But the main takeaway is this start section. So these are the properties that we get under contract, and it tells the team, hey, we have properties that we need to dispo. So it starts in start, and we use this in tandem with Resimply. However, this is just a great way to manage your disposition process. So there's properties that are start, and then you would just move properties as they go. Say it went on hold, you would put the deal on hold, and I'll explain what the definition of each status is. So start are properties that we get under contract that our team needs to start the disposition process on. Deals on hold is for whatever the reason is. Say the property needs to go through probate, or there's a problem with access, or whatever the case is. We put those deals on hold and we work on them until we can get them out of deals on hold. Memo filed, still try. So a memorandum, if you guys are familiar with that, is a way to tell the world that you have interest in the property. And when I say interest, that means that you got a property under contract with a seller, and you have the intention to purchase the property. There's some situations where, hey, you lose access and you fully want to purchase the property, but you aren't unable to because of, let's just say, lack of seller cooperation. We put these in the status of memo filed, where we filed a memorandum, but our goal is to get the seller back on board. Next is pending picks. So usually 90% of our deals start with start, and then it goes to pending picks. And so pending picks in lockbox means we're in the process of getting pictures in a lockbox, and we have a whole process on that. But that's just a matter of communicating with the seller and coordinating a lockbox if the property is vacant, and coordinating pictures so we can see what we are dealing with, and also use those photos for marketing. And then once we get the photos back, we go to underwriting period. And underwriting period is the process of underwriting the property further to see if the pictures align with what the seller said, and seeing if we can actually move forward with the property at the current price. And if we are often priced where the seller said one thing, maybe just benefit of the doubt, they didn't know what was going on with it, and we go there and there's a tree through the roof. That's a conversation that we're gonna have with the seller of saying, hey, we need to be at X price to make this work. So underwriting period is the process of reevaluating the price if needed. Majority of the time, that does not happen because on the acquisition side, we do a really great job of diving deep and making a number that we're confident in moving forward with because we got a lot of information from the seller. But it does happen where it doesn't make sense to move forward at the current price for whatever the reason is. Pending marketing means it's past underwriting period, and this is just going left to right, left to right. Pending marketing means it's in the process of, say, we're flat fee listing it, or we're putting it in the sense of putting it on the market, or we are in the process of, we got pictures and just, we're gonna assign it, or whatever the case is. And we're gonna put it on Facebook, or doing all those different exit strategies to sell a deal. That's what pending marketing is. And then once it's live, either on the flat fee MLS, either on Facebook groups, on Craigslist, whatever strategy that you end up doing, walkthrough period. So now it's showing we have a few properties that are in the walkthrough period that are actually getting marketed. And then from there, there's reduction, low urgency. That means, hey, we've marketed it, and most likely we need a reduction with the seller, or just at least have a conversation with them of where the feedback that we've been getting with the intention that we are wholesaling this property. That's what this whole conveyor belt is, the intention of finding another buyer to ultimately purchase the property. And then there's buyer inspection period, where the property is marketed and then we lock in a buyer. So buyer usually has an inspection period, mainly for novations, where there's a buyer that has financing involved. However, sometimes it skips this section because buyer is waiving all inspections, and that's like best case, and they're moving forward with the deal. and they have higher earnest money deposit and we're very confident, we put them to buyer post-inspection period. So from here, we're marketing the property, it's live, we lock in a buyer, it goes here. Once we pass inspection period, it goes buyer post-inspection period, and now all we're doing is waiting for the property to close. And then close in one, obviously the property that we've ended up closing and we got paid for, and obviously canceled or lost for whatever the reason is. We were off on numbers, there's title issues, there could have been another thing as well, but for whatever the reason we lost the deal, we have a category there. And that is the process from A to Z of how we go about our disposition status. Again, this is very simple where all you're doing is just moving the card for whatever status it's in. Furthermore, what's cool about this template is you can show different information on the card. So there's so much information that we can show on this card. So specifically what that looks like is we can show the acquisition agent that's involved. And it's cool because you can see a one-stop shop of, hey, all of the deals that this person's working on. You can easily filter that. So it's very customizable based off of your preference. That's why I like Notion. And it is free. However, if you want the automations, that's where it gets paid, but it's nothing crazy. What that looks like is you can show the acquisition agent that's involved on the deal. You can filter by all the deals that they have. You can do the same thing with disposition agent. And then you can also see when the deal, we got it in the first place. And then there's all these other different information categories that you can add in. And so you can see that I'm only showing like 4 or 5 different aspects when it was ended up being live on the MLS or just marketing in general. We could show the asset class. If I wanted to do that, I could just click the eye icon. You could see that shows single family property or whatever the asset class is. And this is all customizable. I don't want to dive too deep into it, but there's all these different things. So that is the disposition status. It's from A to Z. I recommend you start with the property being in the start section, knowing, hey, this is a property that you just got under contract. In a perfect world, this is what it'll look like. After that, you go to pending pictures and lockbox. You're getting the property just marketing ready. Once you get the pictures, make sure everything looks good. After that, you do the pending marketing section. And then walk-through period is the property that is live and marketed. And then once you lock in a buyer, it goes to buyer inspection period. In best case, it just goes buyer post-inspection period because the buyer waives all inspection because you had an amazing deal, best case. And then you close on the property. So that is our process that helped us do millions of dollars a year and that we're currently doing. This is what we're actually leveraging every day. Next is the title process. So we have the exact same thing, but we're doing it for the title status. So this is the exact same process where it's A to Z on what's going on with the deal when it comes to the status, going left to right. So what I mean by that is, okay, it's a new property. Okay, do we open a prelim title? Put this prelim title, open a prelim, just figure out, hey, are there liens on the property? What's going on? Next is, hey, waiting for a buyer's contracts. For whatever the reason, we open a prelim title. We don't have a buyer yet. We put it in the section of like, hey, we're waiting on that. Or we don't have a buyer. And now we know that we've opened up title, which is beneficial, right? Because when you get a buyer, you don't want to, in a perfect world, you don't want that buyer to be like, hey, I want to use my title company. Hey, you tell them, I've already opened up title. I've already paid that process. Let's use our title company. And obviously, you want to use that as well just to control the transaction and make sure you get paid. Next is on hold. I don't need to dive into that. It's the same idea. For whatever reason, the deal's on hold. So on deck is the property's on deck to order title work. Next, you're going to be ordering title work. Buyer EMD has been received, which is best case. That means that the buyer is, you're confident the buyer is going to be able to move forward because they actually put money down. Title commitment review, you've got title commitment back, which shows, hey, if there's liens, mortgages, whatever the case is, you got that, you're reviewing it, you're clearing it up. If anything is off, then you resolve it. And then there's buyer clear to close, everything looks good. And then, hey, the funding's in place. This is the process. Obviously, there's funding involved. And then during the final walkthrough, you schedule the buyer and seller to close, and then you close. And then we differentiate closed and funded. Sometimes these properties close, and sometimes you don't actually you're paid yet. It gets, and closed is the eye, or what I've seen rather, of the town letting the world know that the deed has been recorded, so the piece of paperwork has transferred, but sometimes the funds don't go through yet. And that's different state to state, but we keep track of, hey, being closed versus funded, because our ultimate goal is to make sure it's funded because that's how we get paid. And then we have a post-closing process of asking for testimonials and all that, and then we have done and complete, which is everything has gone smooth. So here's the process regarding the title status and knowing where the transaction is at using this Notion page. And there's all these different views that I can dive into. The last view I'll show, and I can share this whole thing and we can dive into each view. And the views are very customizable. You can do whatever view you like to see. But at a high level though, even if you're not using Notion or the CRM that you should have a conveyor belt of where the transaction's at and moving it along. Lastly, there's this title calendar view, which is super cool. And you can, and all this information is going to be hidden, but you can see what is going on with this deal and how much you're going to make, and also when it's ultimately going to close. So this is a very helpful view. You can see it. I see the calendar view right now. It's obviously showing only things that are coming up. It's a very helpful view to understand the deals that you have on deck to close. If this video helped at all, subscribe and drop a comment. Everything I just walked through and more lives inside our school community. Also, click the links below for additional resources and access. Thank you.